Shalom, shalom, everyone. Shalom, shalom. Hope you're having a blessed day. Today I'm going to be talking about my journey through doing a 21-day fast. So this is post-recorded. So I've already completed the fast and everything. I'm just going to kind of run through what I've done. So I've kind of documented it as I was going, but now I'm actually just like recording it. So 21 days, right? I started on the 4th of January and I ended it on the 24th of January. And the reason I picked those dates is just because my parents did a 21-day fast before I was born, and my dad had received vision from God saying, "Hey, you're going to have a son." And he's like, "You're just going to have a son." So my mom wrote that down, and it was January 25th. She wrote it down. And a year later, I was born. So like my mom was pregnant in that year, and then the next year I was born on January 25th on the same date. So that's a really cool storyline to be born in. So basically it's kind of like, I'm paying homage to that. So I end on the 24th, and then on the 25th, it's kind of like, oh, you're being renewed kind of idea. There's nowhere in the scriptures that says this, but I'm just my own thing. So that's why I picked those dates. There's no like real other significant, more general reason. It's very specific to me. Also, I'm turning 26 at this point. So I've now been alive for an entire generation, 25 years, quarter of life, So it's like, it's a good, again, more like rebirth kind of ordeal happening. And there's like some spiritual stuff that I want to kind of, some negative spiritual things that I would like to have kind of removed from my temple so that I can, draw closer to the Most High. So let's dive into this real quick. So like pre-fasting, or even before that, let's go a little bit before that. A little background. I've fasted in the past. I've done Ramadan. That's like a half-day fast, and you don't drink any food and have no water. Out of all the fasts I've done, that's probably been the easiest. I'm not Muslim. But I do have some Muslim friends, so I, join them from time to time. But it's not the most difficult fast to do. You kind of be thinking, oh, I don't eat food all day and I don't drink water, but it's like you get to eat and drink water like at night. So it's, it's not terrible at all, by no means of the imagination. Though it does last an entire month, I think it requires just so much more discipline than like a shorter fast, even though like I've done a 3-day water fast, and a 3-day water fast is just, again, like no food, but I can have water. So I'm doing a 21-day fast, water fast now. I did a 3-day. That one wasn't very hard at all. It just requires that you just don't eat, focus. I think the hardest fast I've ever done is a 3-day dry fast. So same amount of time, 3 days, but it was a dry fast. That was just so much harder because you're not eating, you're not drinking, and the not having the water was so hard for me. I also was trying to work out during that time period. Really ridiculous, silly idea, but that might have contributed to why I felt really bad doing that. But yeah, I'd say like that, those two, the 3-day fast, water fast was easy. The 3-day dry fast was really hard, and then like the Ramadan fast is super easy because like you just get to eat at night. But I will say it required probably the most discipline, because you have to remember for an entire month that, hey, I'm not eating at this time, and you gotta watch everybody else eat and drink water and all this fun jazz whilst you're just sitting there being sad. So that's my background in fasting, and now I'm prepared for a 21-day fast. Big jump, I know. But like, yeah, so totally like super prepared. I did complete it. So, I seemed like the Spirit was with me. And so kind of pre-fasting period, right? So January 1st through the 3rd, I kind of cut cold turkey, all the stuff that I'm going to talk about in a second. I cut that cold turkey. And I started kind of getting my nutrition a little bit better, just kind of have nutrition and not having withdrawal symptoms during my fast. So that's the pre-fast time. So those dates. And, I started around 200 pounds. That isn't the focus of this fast, but I did start at 200 pounds. By the end of it, I was about 172 pounds. So I lost roughly 30 pounds, 28 pounds, in 3 weeks. So basically 10 pounds a week. It's really cool. I've kind of gained most of it back. I'm about 190. I stay around 180 to 190, I'd say. I go through that range. I mean, I work out daily, and stuff like that. I'm eating healthy. There are some days when I'm not eating the most healthy, but I am eating a lot healthier than I did before. And I'd say like I stay around that range. So 170 is probably too light. 200 pounds, I'm going to have to say for myself, was too big. I didn't really like being 200 pounds. I always wanted to be. But after being 200 pounds, it wasn't like clean, lean muscle. Now, if it was lean, I probably would have liked it more. But it wasn't lean. So I just really didn't care for being that body fat percentage. All right. So why am I doing this fast? What's the point? What's the point of doing a 21-day fast? Is it just an homage? No. I'm actually doing this 21-day fast, not only for the pay homage, but that for a rebirthing process, and really to break out of some addiction. So I have an addiction to nicotine. But what I've noticed is that if I don't use tobacco products, I normally end up using marijuana and alcohol as a crutch. And a lot of times I'll use alcohol and nicotine together. That's like one of those like very common pairings. So I'm trying to get rid of having to need any of those three to enjoy my day or go about my day, or just like when I come home at night, I don't need to have a beer. I don't need to drink or have a cigarette or whatever to like calm myself out through the day. I can, I have other options and venues that I can use to like move, like, an after work session of sorts. As of right now, it's fighting. So I do Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu right now. So that's what I'm into. And I have a girlfriend, so I go home and, listen to her talk. So I'm trying to get out of that cycle, which I have successfully said I have done. I haven't returned back to nicotine. I do drink here and there. It's a bit more social, but I don't just like I used to drink. I don't do that anymore. I haven't smoked any marijuana since, or have I? No, I haven't. Yeah, I haven't smoked any. I don't plan on it either. I think smoking's pretty bad for you now. Your lungs, it. Like, will I go back to using cannabis of some sort? Yeah, I think I will, but not in the smoking variety. Just for the sake of my temple, my lungs. I want to keep that healthy. Additionally, I do want to cleanse myself out from pornography. So that is not like a crazy thing for me, but like I do watch it a little more regularly than I would like to admit. So I just want to cut that shit out cold turkey. I just want to be like I'm no fap guy. I've lived my life forever. Yeah, I want to be that dude with the big beard and, the muscles and the short cut hair and stuff. Also just like, pornography, when you really boil it down biblically, it's so sinful. It's like, you lust if you look at someone with lust, you've lusted in your heart. And this is like, if you're doing it often, you're just constantly like adulting. You're constantly lusting in your heart for stuff that isn't something you should want in the first place. So these I'm trying to get rid of to kind of align myself back with the Most High, just align myself with the world that is real and tangible and physical, and not with like things that I need to be in an altered state, or I need to be somewhere in my fantastical world, and not to defile my temple so that, I can grow spiritually and, within life. So yeah, I first 3 days, cut all that cold turkey. So again, this is like a strict water fast. Okay, guys. So, water only. I'm not doing flavored drinks. I'm not doing teas. I'm not doing like emergencies, coffees, nothing. A lot of people would like, oh, if you're feeling down, drink some tea. If you're feeling like this, drink, have like an energy shot. I'm like, well, that's kind of killing the fast. If you're doing all that, I'm going to stick to straight water. And that is what I did. Now, I did use 2 different things. So a little bit of salt here and there every so often. And also I would drink mineral water, and not just like distilled or regular water. It'd be mineral water or spring water, as they call it. The only reason I do that is just to have the electrolytes. I just needed electrolytes because, if you're drinking water and you're not eating anything else, you're going to be flushing your electrolytes out. So you really don't want to do that, because you could really hurt yourself. So I don't plan on drinking like a gallon of water a day, just because that's too much. Because why would you do that? You're going to flush out all your electrolytes. And some people did do that and they had to go to the hospital. I'm going to take the easiest cue of all, what does my pee look like? If my pee is really yellow, guess what? Need to drink up some water, fellow. And if it's really, really clear, well then, don't drink water for a year. No, I don't know how to rhyme that, but just don't drink any water if your pee is clear like water. Just wait on it. So that's the goal there. And in order to keep myself focused, and when I do get hungry, the main thing I'm planning on doing is just reading and praying. This year, last year, my goal was to read the entire Bible. And I did that, including the Apocrypha. This year, I plan on reading just the Torah. So just the first 5 books of the Bible: Genesis, Exodus, Leviticus. What's the next one? Numbers and Deuteronomy. There we go. So I plan on reading those 5 books in depth, just right there on the spot for the entire year. So nothing too crazy. I'm going to have a Strong's, the Diver Briggs. It's another concordance. Several translations open at one time. I'm using eSword for all of this. And I'm just really getting like a really in-depth look at what's really happening. I want to know what all the names mean, what all the purposes are, so that later on when I go read more into the other parts of the Bible, because I could see like there's a big storyline and it all is basically taking place on the foundation of the Torah. So I want to take my time in this year reading the entire Torah, really understanding every nook and cranny and sitting in Numbers and listening to every single census of each tribe. How fun. So like that's the goal for this year, is to really just get into that. But so if I am feeling hungry, the goal is to pray and reflect on God's word, which I say I did. There were some times where it might have been like, oh, let me just go outside and go for a walk, or just keep my mind focused. But I did find that like reading the word of God and praying did actually help me get through this fast. So that's something that I implore you to do. If you're not really like spiritual in that sense, like in this way, you probably should try it out. So physical exercise, I don't do any. I ended up doing some towards the end of my fast, because I was like, man, I'm feeling like really sore. And I realized that like the sore feeling is coming from the lack of activity that I'm doing. So I was like, okay, maybe I should switch it up and actually do some exercise. So for like the first 2 weeks, I didn't exercise. And then later on, I decided like the last half week, so about halfway through, I was like, let me try exercising. And it really was nice. I didn't do anything too crazy. Like it was like 1 set, 12 reps. That's it. Full body exercise, 30 minutes, very light, very easy. But it made me feel a lot more energetic and youthful. My backup plan for all this was like, if I can't complete the 21-day fast, I'll hop into a Daniel fast and just eat only whole foods, no animal products, only things that grow out of the ground kind of thing. And then to do that 21 days. But I did end up going all the way through. So that was super awesome, being able to do. So let's get into like what it looked like day 1 down to 21. So day 1, wasn't terrible. I mean, that's just like basic for me. Like I've done it, like I said, I've done it fast in the past before. It wasn't super hard. It was super just straight to the point. Day 2, same thing. There's a little bit of hunger there, but like I'm hungry, but I can ignore it. It's fine. I'm good. Day 3, this is kind of how I know the fast starts, or like my body's like, okay, I know what time this is, because like my throat has like this weird, it feels like it's like kind of closing in on itself. And it's like, or atrophying or something. It just feels really tight. And I'm like, what is that? It's such a weird feeling. At this point, like the hungriness kind of subsides a little bit. Normally it's a lot faster, but for whatever reason, it took a little bit longer. It took up to like day 5 before I stopped feeling hungry. Most people think like, oh, I'm going to feel like hungrier and hungrier by the days. But it's like you get really hungry in the beginning, and then it peters out by like day 3. For me, it was day 5 at this point. And nothing too crazy. That the closed throat feeling that I started having, that sensation that my throat was closing, kind of ended at around day 9. And again, by this point, my hunger was nothing. It wasn't like, oh no, I'm so hungry. I had water. I was fine. I think the craziest parts were like a lot of nights I would end up going to sleep and waking up and being like, oh no, I can't believe I broke my fast, but realizing it was a dream, because I would be dreaming about like eating donuts and brownies and shit like that, or stuff like that, sorry. But like I would wake up and be like, oh, thank goodness I didn't actually break my fast. I was so disappointed. But physically, like I was never too fatigued. So I mean, we're up to day 9 here, day 10, day 11. It was never too bad. Like I think the only thing that I had to watch out for was just like moving too quickly, because I noticed like if I move too quickly, I get really lightheaded. Or if I've been sitting for a long time, if I stood up too fast, I get lightheaded and have to sit back down. Going upstairs really sucked, so I always use the elevator. And then like I'd always be cold. So day 10, I was like, bro, I'm like always cold. Like, what the heck is this? As I realized, like fasting kind of reduces your blood pressure. You kind of dropping your blood pressure, so it makes it a little bit harder for your body to keep everything warm. So it was like definitely wearing gloves in the office. But overall, I mean, this entire time I was just focused on reading and praying. I was also reading a book called God's Chosen Fast by Arthur Wallace. It was a pretty interesting book. It kind of just goes over like an overview of what fasting looks like biblically. So I definitely, say check that out. It's a pretty good read. It's got like 23 chapters, so I just kind of sped up the reading a little bit so that I could be on time with when the book ended. I'd end fasting, so that was pretty nifty. Yeah. So around day 12, like my hunger was nothing, like still not super hungry. And I realized, all right, I was learning a lot about fasting while I was fasting. So I was just like looking up stuff about fasting. And there was something that was talked about, like there's like a neurotransmitter in your body called ghrelin, and it's responsible for making you feel hungry. But if you're not eating food, then your ghrelin response is kind of low. And the only time like you would kind of spike your ghrelin if you're fasting is during the times of like lunchtime, like normal times you eat. So like lunchtime, dinner time, breakfast. I never for breakfast. I don't eat breakfast very often, but I could say especially for dinner time, I was like, oh man, I'm so hungry. And then it kind of go away. But as time goes by, if you don't satiate that craving, it kind of just becomes less and less important. So like every single time dinner comes around and you don't eat, your ghrelin levels kind of go a little bit lower and lower. So like it's kind of like a conditioning state. As I've learned, is that like eating at certain times or eating in general is a conditioned state, and the reason you feel hungry is not because you're actually hungry, but it's because like you have been conditioned to eat at these times. So I did start doing like a lot of stretching by this point, like day 12. I mean, even before then I was doing some stretching, just to keep myself limber. And out around day 12, this was the point I did start doing like a full body calisthenics workout. And that wasn't bad. I felt really good after that, actually. So I would say like definitely check out working out while you're fasting. There's something about BDNF, which is neuro food body something. I forgot. It's called BDNF, but it's supposed to help you maintain your muscle whilst letting you burn fat. And apparently it helps, keep you energetic and a bit more lively than if you were to just be like not working out during your fast. So it helps. At this point, it was weird, but funny. It was funny, not weird. But like I started getting a lot of my Instagram feed showing me food related content, which is weird because I wasn't really looking at food related content at a certain point. Like I started to look at food once, like it showed me food once and I was like, oh, that looks good. And then out of nowhere, all I'm getting is food. And I was like, wait a minute, how does it know? But I was posting like my fast, like on my story. So I'm like, maybe it read that, which I think is weird, but like, it was just like food related stuff. And I was like, oh my goodness. But I started like kind of having a mental list of like all the types of food I wanted to cook after my fast ended. At the time of my fast ending, I think I only cooked like one of the things that I saw. Like it was just the craving. It was just the craving that was there, but it wasn't like a real thing. Of course, but it was just like, oh man, yeah, I'm gonna make that. That looks so good. Oh yeah. Actually, I made two of the things. So it's hot chocolate and like these cool chicken nuggets that you kind of like mix with potatoes. So those are like the only two things that I really started making. Everything else, I mean, I kind of forgot about. So by around day 16, so about 4 days after my last update, it was really something, because I really started getting hungry again. Like super hungry. So I had 5 days left and I started getting really freaking hungry. And I was like, what is this all about? Why am I so hungry for? And then in the book, God's Chosen Fast, according to Arthur Wallace, like there's 3 stages of fasting, and it's the initial hunger. So that like first 3 to 4 or 5 days that you kind of just have like, you're just hungry because you're not eating. Your body's used to eating. Where's the food at? And then there's that period where you're just like, bro, I'm good. I don't need to eat anything because I am burning my fat stores. I'm feeling good. I'm feeling great. You have a lot more energy. And then there's that very last period when you have like this hunger again. It's like renewed hunger. And this is normally when all your fat stores have been completely deteriorated. Like you've now burned through a lot of your fat stores. And I would say at this point in time, I was about 178, I want to say, like 178, 180. So I had lost a lot of weight, and then I have a scale that tells me my body fat percentage. So it was like a brother was maybe 13% body fat. Like I was really low on the body fat area. So I definitely started getting a little bit more hungry at this point. So this is the idea, like this is when you are now complete with your fast. Once you start feeling hungry again, your fast is over. But for me, I feel like the only reason I started feeling hungry is because I like the anticipation. It was like a week before I'm now finished. So it was like, oh man, Friday we get to eat, Friday. So it was just, or Saturday, I think. It was Saturday I get to eat. So it was like more of the anticipation, but maybe it could have been a little bit of both. I was definitely smaller. And with the weight loss, it was about, on one day, I think I lost like 3 pounds, which is so freaking crazy. But other days it was pretty like chill. I didn't really lose that much weight. I think somehow working out allowed me to like maintain some weight. That's what the BDNF was supposed to be for. Neuro factor, whatever it's called. And then, all right. So on the very last day, so I did the 5 days. It was pretty grueling. But it was only grueling because it was like the anticipation of getting to eat again was so hardcore. Final day, Friday, my stomach was like, bro, let's eat. It's just growling at me. And again, like I suspect that's just the anticipation. It's just like, come on. I felt a little bit faint after working out. It could just be because like the end of the fast is happening. I don't know. But I will say one thing I did forget to mention here. Throughout the fast, I think sleeping was really uncomfortable to a degree. Like it wasn't as comfy to sleep most nights. It was really kind of hard to really fall asleep and like not really stay asleep, but just fall asleep really. And then I kind of developed like a little bit of lower back pain or mid to lower back pain. So I don't know what that was all about. Maybe it was healing, but I don't feel it anymore. But I did feel a little discomfort from laying down. Also from even like prolonged sitting. That was just something kind of throughout the fast as I got deeper into the deeper days. So maybe like, I want to say maybe past like the first week, maybe halfway through, definitely a little bit more discomfort. I will say exercising did help kind of bring comfort back a little bit, but not dramatically. So breaking my fast, how does one break their fast? I broke my fast with like a fruit. So I kind of just ate an apple, took a bite out the apple, sat down, waited on it. My body seemed pretty chill the whole time. My girlfriend actually fasted with me for 3 days. The last 3 days, she did her own water fast, so that was nice to have some support there. Some people say like bone broth. I just did whole foods. I was like, I'll just eat a bite of an apple. I should be fine. Then the following days, I kind of just slowly increased the food intake. Kind of just eating regularly, but I had some soup. I just wanted to make sure I didn't like overeat, because I know that sometimes when you finish fasting, you're just like eat, and it's like, hey, you gotta bring it down, you gotta slow it down, chew your food, do all this stuff. One thing I did notice is that like my tongue, when I was eating salty foods, it was not happy. It was like I could feel it kind of like stinging pain on my tongue when I was eating salty foods. And so I like kind of steer away from salty foods. Even now I'm like, I'm gonna watch out for that. But I actually enjoyed that because it was just like, yeah, okay, that's cool. My tongue's like, bro, that's too salty. So like normally, your mouth would be used to like not so salty food. So like I'm probably eating too much salt. So that sensation though has now long gone. So my tongue is reacclimated to the salty environment. But it was interesting to see that happen. After 3 days, so after 3 days of eating food, I actually gained 10 pounds, which is crazy. I don't know if that was just water retention weight or whatever, but like, boy, oh, did I gain weight really quickly. I didn't eat too much. I was eating regular, but my body would like really bulked up. My muscle and overall body composition is improving. It's still improved. But I still continue eating slowly and whatnot. Though, like, after my fast, there were some times where it was like a little bit of discomfort while I was eating. It was like, oh, I need to slow down here. Like, my throat kind of felt like it was being worked, like it worked out. It was kind of sore after swallowing food. So I was just like, all right, maybe we need to slow down the swallowing or something. Yeah, so that was something I noticed, and it kind of felt like it was being scratched. It was like scratchy. My bowel movements during this time were really firm, like super firm. During the fast, they were not like crazy firm. I pretty much had a bowel movement every single day during the fast, and they were more like really liquidy, and it wasn't like a lot. It was maybe like a teaspoon or tablespoon of stuff that come out, but it was always like really oily and like brown, and it stunk like, oh my goodness, no one's business. But returning off the fast, like it was like solid, it wasn't smelly. So I was like, okay, I think that was just like all the impurities coming out of the body. So super firm, that's what I really like. Yeah, I've broken the addiction. So like I've had like a few cravings for nicotine, but I never indulged in it. But that whole addiction phase for me kind of like just vanished. It was so amazing. Like, I just don't think about it. I'm not like, oh, I need to go out and find the new. No, I'm good. Like, I haven't used any tobacco products at all. I have no need for it. And it's really nice to have that like weight off my shoulder in a way. I've been around other people smoking and drinking, and I've kind of noticed that like, I'm not too interested in participating with them. So I have to praise the Most High Yah for that. And I just hope that, it's been a month now, but I hope that continues throughout the entirety of this year, was just to overcome those habits. Same with the pornography. I just haven't had a desire to really get into that. Really, it just kind of when I think about it, it's just like, why would you even do it? So moving forward, right? So like long-term plans, I'm going to try to continue fasting. So I haven't been able to do that recently, but I'm going to try to continue fasting like either twice a week or once a week, just to do it, not to be like self-righteous, but just to continue having that mentality where it's just like there's a rest day for the digestive system, and to kind of keep my mind focused on the Most High. So I'm going to try to continue to do that. And also help me kind of prevent overeating, because I remind myself like, hey, food isn't that thing that keeps you alive. Remember that. Man does not live on bread alone. So just being able to like remind myself through an actual fast every week would be a good idea. And also discipline. And I've just joined an MMA gym, so I'm going to be working out there regularly so that I can like keep my weight. Like I said, it's like 187 pounds. But I got like noticeable muscle retention and gain after ending the fast. So that's really nice. But I really like to continue living my healthier, addiction-free life that I'm doing. It's noticeably better. So like really the fast for me has been pretty transformative for me, both physically and spiritually. I mean, yeah, just able to see certain things a certain way where like people who are not believers kind of hear, oh, you're fasting, and they're just so like, how you can't even do that. That's not possible. Why would you do that? I had one of my coworkers even like, what? Why would you fast? Like, there are better ways to lose weight. And I'm like, well, it's not like a weight loss thing. And even during that conversation we had, it was just like, she went back to talking about how it was about losing weight. And I was like, again, it's not about weight loss. It's more of a spiritual thing. It's good for your soul. But for someone like her, who's an atheist, she was unable to fathom the idea of it being good for you in any form. And the only reason you would want to do it is so that you can lose weight. And it's like, geez, you know, like, it's amazing, like, how everyone else is, when they hear like, oh, you're fasting, that can't be healthy for you, but will proceed to also invite you out to the bar to go drink a bunch of alcohol. And it's like, you know, that's not healthy for you, but like, fasting is not healthy for you because you don't think it is, but you'll drink your brandy or whiskey every night. And it's like, so I think people have, it's like the way that certain people believe or think, it's like these bad things that I know are bad for me, I'm gonna continue doing it, and I'll invite others to come do it. But that one good thing that could be good for you, I'm totally not gonna do, because there's not enough science to back that up. And you shouldn't do it either. And it's like, wow, you know, it's really the mindset of people that, you know, you see it and it's like, you see how there's such a big distinction and change between the two. So yeah, it was just like, it was amazing and eye-opening experience to see that. And then also to see like how there are other people who were believers who were like, wow, I can't believe you're doing that. Oh, that's so cool. That's so amazing. To see like, and then some people even being like, I couldn't do it. And they themselves are believers, but they can't even go like a day without fasting because they can't do it. Their body just won't allow them to. They're too cranky or whatever. I was talking to a believer before, and I was like, they were like, well, how do you fast? How do you do it? Like, when you get hungry, what do you do? And I was like, read the word and pray. And they kind of just gave me this look like, okay, but what's the real reason? Like, how do you really do it? And it's just like, that's what you do. You just gotta, read and pray. You gotta get into the spirit. So it was just interesting to see that, like, how the differences between, some people and other people based on what they believe, and the reaction to knowing that I was fasting 21 days without any food. So it was really cool. It also, it really gave me, like, confidence in the story of my birth. Like, because before, I was like, well, maybe, how can you fast for 21 days? Did they really do it? And somebody once told me, like, oh, no one can really go that long without food. There's no way. You have to be eating something or doing something else or lying. So, the best way to figure out if something's not true is to try it out yourself. And that's what I did. And it really helped me restore confidence in that story in itself, just because, like, I did it. So it's obviously doable. It's obviously doable. I didn't, however, receive too many visions from God, or any visions. There were a couple times where I had a dream, and then, like, I went to work, and the thing that happened in the dream happened at work, which I thought was pretty interesting. I was like, oh, maybe, that's something to be, that's interesting. Didn't know that could happen. So, like, small spurts of cool, magic like that. Not magic, but spiritual God vision givingness. So yeah, if you enjoyed this, if you please leave a like. You can subscribe to the 8-Bit Ministry. I plan to try to do another video at some other time. I don't know what the topic should be or anything like that. I'm just kind of going at this however. But I mean, if you consider fasting, reach out to me and I can give you some pointers. But I hope, like, this encourage some of you to try out fasting, even just for a day or two. So yeah, shalom.